Hello and welcome to another episode of the Diet Obsessed podcast. I am your host, Veronica Santarelli. I am a certified personal trainer, nutrition and weight loss coach, and this podcast is for those of us who are just obsessed with everything related to improving health and longevity, with a special emphasis on food, fitness, and diet culture. All right, let's get into the show. But first, if you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. So this is one of my free episodes. I do a free episode every other week, and then every other week I do a premium content show. And you can subscribe to that premium content through Apple Podcasts, Patreon, really wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also hit the subscribe button on YouTube. That doesn't cost a thing, and it really helps us. You can also follow me on Instagram, leave a rating or review on this show. There's a lot of ways you can support me, and I appreciate your support. All right, everyone, let's get right into my regular segments. And then I do have a traumatizing and interesting, in my opinion, media review at the end of the show. But first, let's dive right into my mental health check-in. So we are officially in June. Today is a Tuesday, June 2nd, and I decided that I'm going to now start making my Tuesday my marathon day, where I get up extra early at 5 a.m. and do this show and then do the rest of my day. So it'll be an extra long day, but I have been doing this show on my Mondays, which it was just a little bit too much on my Monday. I really wanted to feel like I had more time off on what's supposed to be kind of a day off with this new schedule I have. And it was just feeling like Mondays were just another work day. So I decided to just make my Tuesdays extra long. And so we'll see how that works out. But overall, I'd say, my mental health is overall really good. I'm feeling, this weekend was just very chill. I talked about my Memorial Day weekend on the last show, on my VIP show. And, we had a barbecue, we had some people over. We had gone out the day before, and it was just a busy weekend. It was just a very, very busy weekend, which was fun. We had a lot of fun. I just needed to just have nothing on my agenda for a whole weekend. Now, I love that. It actually is, in a lot of ways, really good for my mental health to have nothing to do, right? Nowhere I need to be, no plans. And so I do love just being able to sit and sip my coffee and be able to bake something if I want to and have, again, nowhere I have to be. What I also realize is when I don't have a lot of plans and I don't have places where I need to be, I do end up overeating quite a bit. And again, I like to do that, right? This show is all about how I love to eat and also trying to find balance. And I just feel like a weekend where I have nothing on my agenda does sometimes lack some balance. Now, I did work out every day. I did go outside, I went swimming, I did do a lot of those good things. We took our dogs for walks. So I did do a lot of those good things that do improve my mental health. And overall, even though I have seen the scale continue to climb, I feel pretty solid. I've been eating a lot of protein and still eating good, healthy things too. It's just that I've been overdoing it in a lot of ways. And I just have a more sedentary job now. So I think in that respect, I don't love to see the scale climbing. Although again, as I get older, I'm not trying to like lose weight or stay at this extraordinarily lower weight, right? I do think that as we age, it's good to have some more fat and to not be too thin. But again, trying to find that balance is always my goal. Now, one thing that is negatively affecting my mental health, I will tell you. So I go shopping at Costco the other day. And for anyone out there who uses protein powder, you guys, $79 at Costco. $79 for this, and it's a 5-pound bag of protein. It's a huge bag. But I was getting it for $49.99 just a couple weeks ago. I'm like, $30 increase? I'm like, is this a joke? Like, what is happening right now? Because I'd gone in, and I'm kicking myself now. I try to go to Costco once a month because when I go in, I spend so much money. It's very easy to go overboard at Costco. And so now I go in with a very, very, very strict list that I stick to. And I'd gone in for this whole eyeglass debacle thing that, I don't know if I'm going to tell that story, but anyway, I'd gone in searching for an eyeglass solution. And I had seen that the chocolate protein there was 75 at that time. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 75. Now the vanilla protein was still $49.99. And I should have just bought some right there because I should have known that if the chocolate is 75 right now, they're both going to eventually go up. But I thought, oh, maybe there's just a chocolate protein shortage. At least that's what I wanted to believe. Lo and behold, I look at the Costco prices when I'm like running really low on protein and I have to go get some. And I just look online to see what they're running. They're both now $79, not even 75 anymore, $79.99. And I'm like, I'm like, what is happening with protein prices? Like, why is it so expensive for protein powder right now? And it's all the GLP-1 use, apparently. I mean, I think it's inflation too. It's, I was like, is it the gas prices? Is it the war? Is it like, what is happening? And a lot of it is, inflation, but also GLP-1 use. Like everyone's just more and more and more trying to get more protein in. And that was my really easy source of protein because I've talked on this podcast about my journey of trying to get 100 grams of protein a day. I've been making Chad a protein shake, and I already thought that $49.99 was a lot to pay. It's $100 a pop when I go get protein powder. But I was only having to get it at least, once a month, once every month and a half, because it was such a huge bag. So this time I'm like, oh my God, am I going to spend $150, $60 on protein powder right now? So I ended up just getting the vanilla this time, even though I love having chocolate in the house, because I'm like, I have to have vanilla because I can mix it with so many other things. I can mix it with my matcha. I can mix it with my peanut butter powder. I can mix it with my smoothies and all my berries. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with the vanilla and try to like wean, make it last longer and try, I'll probably be incorporating, I picked up some eggs. I'm like, maybe I'll just do more eggs now and try to just get other types of protein in besides just the protein powder because my God. So then and I'm looking online, I'm like, obviously if Costco is selling it ended up breaking down to like 0.8, so basically like 80 cents an ounce. And I'm looking at all these other brands because obviously that's a huge amount. It's an over 5-pound bag of protein. And usually you're buying smaller quantities when you're just buying it at the store or buying it on Amazon. And it feels better to spend $30 on protein than it does to spend $80 on protein. So, but if you actually look at the price breakdown, even though, okay, this jar you can get on Amazon or whatever is $33, but then you look at the breakdown and it's like $1.20 or $1.05 an ounce. And so yeah, you have to swallow it and buy a massive quantity, buy $80 worth, but you are getting it cheaper. So I guess if you want this stuff, you just have to suck it up. I mean, people that have kids have to buy formula when if they're not breastfeeding, and it's that price shoots up. They have to have it. It's like, what are you going to do? So that has been negatively impacting my mental health. Let me tell you, I do not like that. And then I will also talk about one more thing in this mental health check-in. So I don't remember whether it was on this free show or whether it was on one of my subscriber only shows, but I did do a little snippet on Polymarket, on that scam, and how a lot of people, especially young men across America, are literally being influenced by all these influencers to gamble. This is gambling. And the whole expose that I shared on the show about how it is gambling, right? And how they're trying to get away with it not being looked at as gambling. How it relies on insider trading, that a lot of these people that put up these bets are insiders that do know the outcome. And how can you not have insider trading on a platform like this? And there's no way it's very, very difficult to prove because it's happening on at a rapid pace. Well, lo and behold, I just saw this headline the other day. Google employee charged with insider trading. An employee allegedly leveraged internal search data to earn more than $1 million on Polymarket. So it was a software engineer, Michelle Spagnuolo, so she sounds Italian, used confidential non-public year-in search data to unfairly win more than $1.2 million on Polymarket. Oh, it's a woman. Men can be named Michelle too. Stacy, I've met a few of those lately. He is facing federal charges including wire fraud, commodities fraud, and money laundering. The Department of Justice detailed the following specific information about the case. The account, it had an alias, Alpha Raccoon, and they used an internal Google tool to track rising search trends and queries weeks before the company officially published its year-in search data. He then placed wagers on dozens of yes or no contracts. He originally bet on Kendrick Lamar, but shifted his strategy after internal search data showed alternative pop singer David, which I think is the guy that murdered a woman. He wagered on David being the number one person searched, an outcome Polymarket had assigned a near zero probability. And then following Google's official search report on December 4th, his account quickly cashed out approximately $1.2 million in profits. And then he was arrested in New York. Google immediately placed him on leave. And so another life ruined, right? Like, this is a guy that was a software engineer and probably making really good money at Google, right? Probably a millionaire, if not soon to be millionaire, right? You make a lot of money when you are a software engineer for Google, but that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. He had to use his insider capabilities to win more money. Greed. Is money the root of all evil? Or is it just that this type of thing is just so tempting? People see these opportunities. I mean, I would like to think that I wouldn't take advantage of something like this. I live my life knowing that I'm going to get caught for anything bad that I do. So it is a gamble, right? When at work, when you're doing something you shouldn't do, you have to think of the consequences. You have to think, is this worth it? Is it worth it to lose my job, to lose my career, to lose my license? I mean, some of these people literally lose their license to practice. Is it worth it? I bet this person and his family's mental health is really being challenged after something like this. So anyway, I had to talk about that because, again, this is not an example of somebody who's lost everything and is trying to find rent money and, got taken advantage by the system. He is someone that potentially, and there's more people like this person that are getting away with it, that are using this insider trading to win money from other people that are losing, that don't have access to this information. Is that fair? No. So anyway, that is my mental health check-in of the week. I hope all of you are having a wonderful mental health week yourselves. All right, let's get into a quick foodie affair. Now, I'm sure the whole internet is talking about this clip from Gwyneth Paltrow, how she adds arugula to meatballs instead of dairy. Now, I don't think that she was saying that this is an adequate substitute for dairy in general. I don't think that she was trying to say that, hey, this has the qualities of dairy and they really come out in these meatballs. I think what she meant is, this is something I use as a filler that just fills the meatball with more texture. And because the texture is good, I don't need the unctuousness that the dairy would provide, right? And first of all, Gwyneth, you're lying to yourself. Arugula has its place in our society, okay? Arugula, used sparingly, is delicious. And that peppery quality and flavor profile, and certainly the texture of a leafy green, can do a lot to a dish. I certainly need that bite of a little green element, need the visual aspect of that green element on my plate when I'm thoroughly enjoying a dish. With that said, I have also had many dishes that had way too much arugula. Does anybody remember the most disgusting Valentine's Day dinner I've had in recent time? Nest of arugula, okay? Zero balance. But, if I'm adding a little bit for some texture, certainly that could add to a dish, again, what I was looking for I wanted a bowl with the addition of some little spritzes of arugula. Now, adding arugula to meatballs, again, I think I'm going to try to find the clip and play this clip. I actually like this clip from this woman. I think she's a nutritionist of some kind. But she put it well in that, well, yeah, there's some water in the arugula that can add some liquid, a little bit of moisture to the meatball, which obviously dairy is also going to add some moisture to a meatball. But it's not going to have the binding quality that dairy does. It's not going to have the fat and the mouthfeel that dairy is going to add. And so, and by the way, when you try to add water instead of something thicker like a milk or a fattier product, usually the texture is very off, right? It's watery and not as good. So in my mind, and I don't think that's, even though it was a good thing to bring up as far as like a moisture component, to me, what she was referring to was more of like a textural play. So I'm going to play the clip now. You tell me what you think. Here's the clip.
If you want to avoid dairy, one trick that I do is I dice up arugula.
So that moment caused quite a stir on social media. Tons of commenters joining in on the bit. One reaction gained almost 30,000 likes, reading nothing better than a glass of cold arugula. our buddy Sonny Anderson, chef, by the way, took it a step further, adding arugula to her coffee, which I've done. Hand me that one. Gwyneth herself jumped in on it too. She posted this like harvest basket of vegetables with the caption, "Milked fresh from my garden."
Oh my God, she's so funny. She has a good sense of humor.
Right.
I saw one. The memes are so good. One of them was a salad, and they go Rocky Road ice cream.
Wait, so this one has cheese. These are her meatballs.
Cheesy
This
balls?
has cheese, real dairy, and then that's the arugula dairy substitute.
All right.
So maybe have a bite.
Okay.
Regular.
That's pretty good.
Doesn't taste like a substitute for dairy.
No, I actually think they're very good. Maybe arugula even better. Once again, Gwyneth is right.
Yeah. Very goop. Very goop.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Right? Do you think that she was saying it was good for the fat, or was it more the texture? Was it moisture and fat, or was it more the texture that she was saying? Everyone's like, Gwyneth's done it again. And here Gwyneth finally came out saying she was eating, finally eating sourdough and eating some pasta. So anyway, you can't help if you are this type of person to try that healthier component over something like dairy. Anyway, that is my foodie affair of the week. All right, let's get into a foodie fail. Now, this is just a quick story. I was listening to the Toast podcast, which I love, and they were talking about how apparently Hooters is having some financial difficulties, and they're essentially trying to rebrand. What they want is to become more of a family-friendly neighborhood restaurant, if you will. And they're talking about whether they need to completely get rid of the name. Obviously, the uniform, which was pretty skimpy and obviously put forth the image of women's breasts. That was a big draw for the guys that would go to that locale. But I think they were always known for having good, like fried food, wings, so I think that maybe they had a reputation for decent bar food. And so they're like, well, we don't want to completely get rid of the brand itself and everything we've built. Let's try to kind of rebrand into something family friendly. And so Claudia was like, well, they're essentially competing with Applebee's, and she's like, and they have a high bar to reach because Applebee's is like the pinnacle of like the food, the neighborhood food, and she's comparing Applebee's to like a cheesecake factory, and I'm like, whoa. Applebee's is disgusting. Let's be clear here. Applebee's is not Cheesecake Factory. Applebee's, in my opinion, is the worst of the family-friendly locale restaurants. And I don't know whether I was influenced by Andrea Laventhal, who used to work there, who shared a story on Taylor Strecker, how when she would work there, every single dish, no matter what it was, they would slather it. There would be this big brush, and every single dish would get this slathering of this. It was essentially just like chemicals, like this fake butter, this fatty oil, chemically butter, just this salty, fatty glaze that they would glaze over everything, which to the American consumer is like delicious, I'm sure, because of our processed food, ultra processed food, chemical brain that we all have now. But that is disgusting. If you are slathering every single dish and every single dish needs to be coated with this chemical, fatty, disgusting glaze. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're adding butter, if you're adding, like there's points to oil and fat and butter in a dish. Obviously, like you want it to be there, and obviously restaurant food is going to be higher in that than most foods, especially if you're cooking at home. But this just seems like a cop-out, like an extra cop-out to just fool the consumer into thinking that they're eating something that is enjoyable. And all it is this chemical glaze of disgusting. So that is, in my very strong opinion, not good family food. And yeah, could Hooters compete with that? I think so. Claudia's like, hell no, and they need to get rid of the outfits, and they need to, and I'm like, look, Applebee's is not a high bar to overcome, okay? Whatever Hooters decides to do with their branding, with their uniforms, you don't have a high bar to compete with Applebee's. So more power to you, Hooters. I don't mind if you take Applebee's out of the game. I don't wish poorly on any business, right? If enough people like Applebee's to keep it in business, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't been to Applebee's in like long. It's been too long. Maybe I have no desire to go. Okay, and I'm not some like refined food eating person. Obviously, like, you know me, but that's where I draw the line. Okay. That is my foodie affair of the week. All right, so let's get into some nutrient news. So I was watching a clip on social media. Howard Stern was like, have you heard about this thing called Fibermaxxing? And I did a topic about looks maxing recently and that's just guys trying to like maximize their looks and also doing some kind of unhealthy things to approach their looks. And this was interesting because I'm like, this is Tanya Zuckerbrot 2020, right? 2018, I should say, when she was in her heyday. And this is all about trying to incorporate as much fiber into your diet as possible. And I'm like, well, and I had to tag I'm like, at Tanya Zuckerbrot figured this out with at F Factor. I'm like, I just had to, because I'm like, this is nothing new. And so I wanted to just find a clip on social media that, there's a lot of different dietitians and all kinds of people talking about this. And it is, look, it's always good to incorporate more fiber. I think I have like hair all over my face. I think what Tanya with her fiber powders, that was something that could be added to anything, really. She was like, add it to your sauce, add it to this. And people were experiencing some GI distress if they were sensitive to that much fiber. This is a lot of the things that I've seen is just, these are the foods that have the most fiber. And hey, you can replace this food for this food and this food for this food, and you can get more fiber into your day that way. And so here's a clip just to explain what I'm talking about.
Fibermaxxing is the new looks maxing. 100 grams of blackberries has 5 grams of fiber. 120 grams of sweet potato has 4 grams of fiber. And 60 grams of avocado also has 4 grams of fiber. So for breakfast, swap your peanut butter for avocado. For lunch, swap your rice for sweet potato. And when you're having a salad at dinner, throw in some blackberries for extra fiber. Fiber is super important because it slows down the rate that sugar enters my bloodstream, which balances my energy throughout the day. It also helps with my digestion and keeps things moving along. So start looks maxing from the inside out and follow me for an OBS approach in your health and fitness.
So again, I think that's educational. I don't think it's a bad thing to watch that thing. I was recently reminded by a social media clip from the Diary of a CEO how much sugar white rice has in it. And I'm like, I don't know how I forgot about that and have incorporated a lot more rice into my diet, but I'm going to go back to brown rice. And so some of these reminders they're just good reminders, nutrition reminders. If you care about this stuff, I think it's always, fiber is just going to keep you full longer. Obviously, we saw what can happen when you overdo it, right? You don't want to, overdoing anything is never a good thing. I think fiber and protein are going to be those two things that you do want a healthy dose on a regular basis, but you also do want to listen to your body and not overdo it, not get, fiber shouldn't make you constipated, but you can get bound up if you're overdoing it right away, not, slowly incorporating it in. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Fibermaxxing. And that is my nutrient news of the week. All right, let's get into my healthy habits of the week. So it was so funny. I was craving. And I don't know whether I'm very susceptible to influence, right? When I'm listening to a podcast and they're talking about drinking wine, I'm like, suddenly I would like to be sipping on a glass of wine. Or if they're talking about, it can be stuff that I really don't even like, that I know I don't really like matcha, right? I know I don't love the taste of matcha. But hearing so many people talk about it and seeing this delicious green drink, I finally went out and bought this very expensive thing of matcha, which I am getting through, and I do drink it fairly often, but it's not enjoyable. I don't really like it. I just was influenced by it. And I so I'm a big fan of the Good Guys podcast. I've done many reviews. They're constantly talking about their food. Ben Soffer, celebrity. I follow him on Instagram, boy with no job. And he's a great cook. His dad owns a catering company. He's very into food. I mean, that's why I love their podcast. They're always talking about their best bites of the week, and they're very passionate about good food. And I love that. And so Ben is a huge fish fan. Like, he loves sushi. He loves raw fish. And that's never going to be me, right? Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be like this huge seafood fan. I like some of it, and I really love some dishes. But it's not my go-to, right? It's not something that's in my regular repertoire of meals. But he talks about tuna salad so much. And finally, I'm like, I'm really craving tuna salad for some reason. And so I ended up making the best tuna salad, because you know I hate mayo, but there has to be something in it. It has to be a binder. I've used mustard in the past, and it's just not great. It's just not. So what I did is I took celery and I chopped it really fine, just beautiful chopped celery. And then I took shallot and I chopped that we're talking knife skills, people. Beautiful chop. I put a little tiny bit of ranch, just the perfect amount. So it was a little bit moist, had some flavor, but you couldn't really notice that there was a white dressing of some kind in there. It was just enough to moisten, to mix, to give a little bit of something that to make it a salad, essentially, to keep it from just being this dry tuna. And then lots of black pepper, fresh ground pepper, some salt. I am telling you guys, this was so delicious. Now, I could have just eaten the entire thing by itself. It didn't need bread. It didn't need a chip. Now, did I bring chips? Yes, I brought these olive oil chips from Trader Joe's, these kettle cooked olive oil chips. I mean, no wonder I'm gaining weight, right? But I decided to make it extra delicious, and I added some of the tuna to that chip, and it was so good. Oh my God. But I did eat some of it without the chip. I didn't need it, which is why I'm a little bit, again, these extra things, I don't need all of it. I don't need the extra chip there. I don't need the extra rice on the side. So that's going to be one of the things that I start to kind of wean off. So today I start a 24-hour water fast. And here's what I've been thinking about, okay, and why I decided to do this. So we talked about that Dr. William Lee. I've done many reviews. And I also, this other doctor, this fasting doctor, he just talks about, when you're overeating, that's when you develop these mutations of cells. Like, when your body has all this extra sugar and starch and to break down, that's when your body doesn't do as good of a job cleaning out the cancerous cells. And I do truly believe in the science and the benefits of fasting. Now, the Prolon system, 5 days, it's a long time. It's too much for me. The last few days, again, having that time off, I just overate. I worked out, but I also just overate. And I just want to give my body a chance to catch up. So I'm going to let just digest all of that today, use a lot of that glucose that I've stored, and then try to just have a little bit of a reset so that I'm going into this next week, not going into my job being like, are there cupcakes? Is there free food in the break room? Did anybody bring pizza in? Like, this has been me lately. I'm a little bit out of control. And I know what it is. It's just, I like to eat. I just do. I love to eat. I love delicious food. I love the comfort of food. And I'm relying on it. I'm like leaning on it like a crutch. And what I do realize about myself is when I'm not just so overly focused on that, I do live more life. I'm more active. I accomplish more. And I know when I go back to school, because pretty soon I will be going back and getting my MBA, I think having that goal to pursue outside of just the day-to-day of what I need to do it's going to be good for me. I think right now I have a little bit of the extra time that I do have. I don't think I'm putting it to the best use possible. And so for healthy habits, I am still incorporating a lot of vegetables and good nutrients and fiber and a lot of those things. I'm working out constantly, like pretty much every day, at least 5 days a week. I'm active. I'm doing something. It's just that I am just consuming a lot of excess food that I don't necessarily need to. So I'm going to try just taking a 1-day break, and then we'll see what the rest of this week brings. I have a couple recipe ideas that are mostly protein with some really delicious sauces. So I will be talking about that on my next show, which is my Craving More episode behind a paywall. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I'm going to be doing this month to try to get kind of back on track and reset for the summer. And because the summer in Arizona is very different than most places. We're not as outside as other parts of the country. And I will be going to Maine for a vacation in July, and I want to feel really good when I go. So I'll be talking a little bit more about that in my next show. But I'm just going to keep doing the good, healthy things that I've been doing. Like I made this Cajun chicken that was really good, and I put it over a bed of farro. Now, again, did I need all that farro? Did I need to use the extra butter? Probably not. Did I want it to be extra delicious and have those textural profiles? Yes. So again, now I also did one other thing that I did finally make. I have this Instagram page. It's this Japanese guy. I'm very obsessed with Japanese culture, the way, like some of their textures that they have and the different food that they make. And this guy had talked about how he was making this brownie or this cake with it was very simple. It was sweet potato that was used as flour, some egg, and maybe some, I don't know, it had like maybe maple syrup or something in it. It had like very few ingredients. And I was gonna try it, but he didn't give exact measurements. And then I started reading some of the comments about how it wasn't really a good recipe, it didn't rise, whatever. So I ended up finding a recipe from that Olivia Audriance that I love. And she had this sweet potato brownie mixture that was really good. I ended up putting it in, I have this silicone like donut or bagel thing mold. And so I just put it in there and it made these basically like brownie-like donut shapes. And they were delicious. I put them in the freezer, ate, and really, they tasted just like a brownie. They tasted just like a brownie. And so I think, again, as I go into this new focus for this month, I'm going to try more stuff like that. Like I did hear, one of my friends was telling me about, she has this avocado brownie recipe. So I think I'm going to try that next. I do have a couple leftover sweet potatoes, so I'll probably make some avocado and some sweet potato brownies. Again, just so I have a little something that's sweet but healthy when I need it. Anyway, those are my healthy habits of the week. I hope all of you have had some great healthy habits this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my tasty treats of the week. And I mean, where do I start? Because I've just been way overdoing it. And I've just been, again, this is why I know I need to just reset, refocus, take a little bit of a break. Because the other night, it was Sunday night, and I'd gone the whole weekend without like overdoing it. And I was already full. I'd eaten the whole day. And it's like 7 o'clock and I go out to get candy. I literally went and brought candy, chocolate into the house and binged on it essentially. And it, you know, it lasted into the week because I couldn't finish it all on that Sunday. And so on Monday I'm finishing it. And again, I've just gotten kind of off track. We had this team meeting the other day. And again, I've talked about how like the new company that I work for loves to feed us. And of course, I'm a willing participant in this. And so, sometimes we don't know what is going to be brought for lunch. So, you know, if we have a team meeting, we don't know if it's like, I went to one team meeting and thought there was going to be lunch and it was just like ice cream sundaes. And so I kind of was, you know, only pretty much ate sugar that day. And I'm like, well, I need something else. So this last team meeting, I brought my chicken and farro like for lunch or for dinner because I worked till 10:30 at night. And then I also brought my big superfood smoothie. But then my boss brought in pizza and cupcakes. And there was banana pudding, and I had to try the banana pudding. I'm like, I've never had banana pudding, and I had to try it. It was delicious. And literally this piece of pizza was like 3 pieces. I'm like, oh, I'll just have 1 piece. It was literally like so big, it was 2 or 3 pieces. And I was full halfway into that pizza slice, but I finished that piece of pizza. I ate a cupcake, and then I took a cupcake for later. I didn't eat the second cupcake that day. I ate it the next day, but I brought it home to eat on a Thursday. And then I proceeded, because I didn't want the food that I brought to go, even though I wasn't hungry later, I still ate all that chicken and farro. I still ate that superfood smoothie. So I'm overeating. It's too much. And again, because I don't like to waste food, and because I'm such a cheap, frugal little bitch, I'm like, oh, free food. Let me take some for later. It's not working for me, right? It's not helping me. But it's also hard to fight this, this depression DNA that I have inside me from my grandmother in the Depression, who was like making use of the dandelions and making dandelion salad, picking the dandelions from the ground. I mean, anyway, so I had that. My friend brings over this butter cake after Memorial Day weekend. I think I ate half that cake. I'm like, I immediately cut 2 slices to put away for later because I was scared the cake was going to go away. And then I ate a piece, ate another piece, ate another piece. It was just because I never have cake in the house now. So it is quintessential diet culture where you try to restrict yourself from it and then overdo it. So we'll see with how this 24-hour fast going into a new regimen does, because maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm backlashing to my own restriction. That could be it too. I don't know. I'm analyzing all aspects of my eating behaviors, of diet culture aspects. I'm sure it all plays into it. But anyway, those were my tasty treats of the week. I hope all of you have had some delicious tasty treats this week yourselves. Right, let's end on my media review. So I have teeth on my mind quite a bit because I'm so excited to soon, hopefully, get Invisalign. And I want to fix the spaces in my teeth. I know people say it adds character, but the front teeth are very jagged and uneven. I don't know if you can see them, but they are. And that my dentist said that my jaw's out of line so that when I bite down, the bottom teeth are hitting the top teeth and chipping that enamel, which enamel's harder than your bone. So obviously there's a misalignment there that needs to be corrected. So not that I want to wear these retainers and not that I want to spend $4,000 and all the things, but I am ready to make that investment so that I'm really happy with my smile again and I'm not chipping away at my teeth and I can get my front teeth fixed again and evened out. And it is important, like your smile, how your teeth look. It is important, I think, for overall confidence and it really does add, I mean, it changes your whole look when your teeth are fixed. And it's why parents invest in braces for their kids. And, I'm beating myself up that I didn't take care of my teeth or wear my retainer after my mom invested in it. But now that I'm making the investment, I'll probably actually do it. And I say this, and I watched this video recently that was all about people that had gotten veneers and had gotten botched veneers. And some of them actually were people that were actually really, really happy with them. And I'd had a dentist in the past try to sell me on veneers. And I was always like, no, like why would I get veneers when I have good teeth? I like my teeth. It's just that they're small. There's too much space in there, but I did know they were insanely expensive. Now, I didn't know at the time that they only lasted like maybe 15 years at the most. And this is for like the really, really expensive porcelain kind. I didn't know that. I thought, oh, veneers are forever. I think people go in thinking that these are forever, and they are forever, in that you have to keep them on your teeth forever. You have to keep paying for them forever. So yeah, they are forever, but it's not like that one set that you spend 50 grand on, 100 grand on, 30 grand on if you're being cheap, or you find a cheap place to do it, but then you're probably not going to be happy with the outcome. And I knew back then, sorry, I have this hair on my face. I knew back then too that they pretty much shaved your teeth down into nubs in order to put that porcelain tooth on, or the veneer, whatever it's made of. Porcelain is the best. But then over the years, and I was never ever even tempted to do it, because I'm like, A, I'm too cheap. B, I like my teeth. I'm not going to ruin my teeth to get fake teeth. That doesn't make sense. And I just, from what I had seen, I'm like, people look like they have horse teeth. Like most people, unless they're really, really well done, like Howard Stern, it totally improved and changed his look. But most people look like Hillary Duff. I mean, or yeah, Hillary Duff and Miley Cyrus, I think is the big, she still looks weird and she's had them redone, but it's almost like they don't fit in her mouth anymore. And so, and those are uber celebrities, right? These are the A-listers that can afford to pay $100,000, that can afford the premier dentists to do it. Now, a lot of these people, and I think that in Miami, this is really popular. I think in Miami, they have a lot of clinics that do this. And some of these stories were, they would say it was one price. They'd say, oh, this is going to be $4,000 or $6,000. And people would be like, that's a lot, but I really want to do it. And they'd come up with the money, and then they'd get there, they'd get in the seat ready for the procedure. And some of them would fly in for this. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, we didn't realize that you had fillings. And so it's actually going to be this much. And the whole, and like halfway the procedure, they're like, oh, we didn't realize this. It's going to be actually this much. And they're in the chair, and they're basically forced to spend double than what they were originally quoted, which is still, again, like one of these ladies, it was like ended up being 12,000, but still they weren't well done. She wasn't happy with them. She got bamboozled to spend even more money. But it was really like, it started out, I remember this one girl who was just crying. And it was just her front teeth. And she was like, and she was just in tears. She's like, this is the worst thing I've ever done. I ruined my life. Look at these things. They're all uneven. And she was just in constant pain. Like apparently they had put the veneer too close to the gum. And then she had to pay for this procedure to like laser off some of her gum, which was like really expensive to do the laser, just to try to feel better and to like fix them. And it didn't work. And she's like, I haven't eaten for months. She's like, I can only eat soft things like oatmeal and ice cream. And she's like, I'm just hungry. And I'm like, oh my God, girl, I felt so bad for this girl. It was heartbreaking. I mean, imagine not being able to eat. It literally is just. Then there was this other girl, this Asian girl, who really liked her veneer. She was like, this was actually one of the best investments I've ever made. She's like, but the problem is, she's like, when I'm eating, and she told this story about how she like bit down on a crawfish, and she's like sucking the head, and she lost a veneer, and she had to like go get this emergency veneer put in. And then this other time she's eating a chicken wing, and she's like sucking on that chicken wing. And, this is a girl that loves to eat. I'm like, girl, I recognize that. Like, you should be able to eat. Loses a front veneer, and you see it, and it's like this little vampire tooth. It's so ugly and weird looking, and it really stands out. I mean, when you have all these like perfect teeth, and then you have this like snaggle tooth, like weird tooth, because you lost a veneer and have to drop everything and find this emergency surgeon, oral surgeon, to put it back in. And again, how much does that cost to go get that fixed? Crazy. And you can't even eat. I mean, I lost a crown, but I mean, eating candy, but I mean, that was years and years and years and years. And I mean, that was not cheap. That was like $700 to replace that crown, or I think $900. But I would not want something in my mouth that I have to be so careful. Like this other guy that was really happy with his, he accidentally like bit down on his pen, and he's like, oh no. He's like, I can't do that. And he was really worried that he had chipped his tooth, because it's so expensive to go fix. And again, imagine that you're so worried about every little move you make with your teeth. There was this, oh my God, this one girl and she was this beautiful girl. And I think some of these influencers, they do it because they're influencers, right? Like their smile, their look, that's how they make money. And this girl was just in tears. She's like, she's paid $30,000 and she was in so much pain. She just never stopped being in pain after they were done. She had that TMJ, and she's like, I've gotten everything. She's like, I've gotten acupuncture, I've gotten massage, she actually had them all like redone. And she said that she'd spent 80 grand at that point trying to fix them. And they looked beautiful. I mean, her mouth looked beautiful. She looked good. It was just that she was in constant pain. She couldn't eat properly. She couldn't bite down into things. She's like, it's ruined my life. And she's like, all that, she's like, it seems so important for me to have this like aesthetic look. But she's like, really what I care about now is my health. And it does show you that your health is everything. When you have something that goes wrong with your health, wherever it is on your body, whether it's your foot or whether it's your mouth or whatever it is, it suddenly becomes like everything that you can focus on. And you're like, oh my God, I did this to myself, especially if it's something like a veneer, right? Like you spend all this money to try to get this look and you end up in lifelong pain, having to spend way more money to try to solve the issue that you created yourself by getting your teeth done. And, and this girl was like, look, she's like, I could have signed an NDA and gotten my money back. She's like, but all I have is my voice. I want to tell people this. I need to share this. Do not do this to yourself. This ruined my life. And you did see a couple of examples of like, there's this one guy that he liked his result. It changed his life for the better, right? And this was a guy that had massive teeth. I think if you have massive teeth, maybe you just have more to work with for that veneer. Whereas if you start out, like I bet I would be, because my teeth are already small and because there'd be less to bind to, I bet they would have to put it way near the gum and I would be miserable in so much pain. So no, thank you. I mean, again, it's probably good that I don't have all of these extra resources to spend on these things, because you see people that have invested in all these different, whether it's microneedling and it permanently scars their face, or you have to do your research. You have to be careful. And if naturally you look good, you really want to consider whether you need, or like whether that's worth it, whether it's worth the risk. Just like we talked about that Google employee, like you got to think about the outcome. Same with an elective surgery, like you could die, right? You could, if you go under, you could die. So is that worth it? You do have to really think about these things. So anyway, that is the show. Thank you all for listening, watching. Please leave a rating or review for the show. Consider subscribing to my premium content, Craving More and Craving More VIP on Patreon, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go follow me at the Diet Obsessed Podcast on Instagram. And until we meet again, I hope all of you have a very balanced week.